Yes, welcome back. 2:15, right on time. Thanks for joining us again. This has been a very inspiring morning and beginning of the afternoon with brilliant speakers that really, well, sometimes put our minds into thinking mode and hopefully will inspire you to rebuild and maybe redesign that travel industry. Our next topic is about marketing. We're talking about making a comeback after, making a comeback. And how do you make a comeback in marketing after COVID? That's what our next pitch is all about. What are the pitfalls? What are the opportunities? And how do you attract attention when everybody is trying to do that? Well, we have somebody in the studio that is an expert in creating attention for his own ideas. He is a very sought after entrepreneur. He's known for many things. Maybe you know him from the Avocado Show. We're very glad that he's in the studio. Ron Simpson. Ron, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Oh man, every day.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So you have a pitch for the audience. Take it away.
I
And
do.
if they have questions, they can send it to me. Oh, that's my mother calling, I'm afraid.
Yeah, she
guys.
just called me. It's all right. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead, Ron.
Sorry. Well, nice to see you guys, I guess. My name is Ron Simpson. I'm a creative entrepreneur. And I'm known for a whole bunch of stuff that we're just going to fly through. And you don't even need to remember it. It's just about understanding what perspectives I used to work with and I used to play with, because I love taking knowledge from one industry and putting it in another one. So we're going to talk a lot about avocados today, but it's obviously not about avocados. It's about marketing and change of thought. So here we go. The thing I do when I distill it down is I try to turn creative ideas into successful concepts. Now, a concept by itself is just an idea made bulletproof, obviously, but the thing that usually makes it successful is marketing, communication, reaching that target demographic, and all of these things. So this is exactly what I want to show you. I absolutely butchered my normal presentation about the Avocado Show, and I just cherry-picked all the cool stuff which involves marketing, so I can show you guys real examples of stuff that's going on and why. So let's go through that. First of all, I used to travel the world as a DJ. Now, why is that important? Because it's kind of interesting to market music, market events, and market people which have an image towards different markets, different demographics, and different set of rules, especially if you want to play the world. So that's kind of an interesting school for me where I learned quite a lot. We transferred that into doing events, think festivals, think big concepts that ran over 5 years, so not just a little party, but like 100 plus events a year. In multiple countries as well, learning the same thing. So being cool as a DJ is something you have to master as a marketing craft, but actually attracting people and using other DJs and images to promote an event is a different ballgame, but it was a lot of fun. So it's something we did as well. I used to work for Bacardi Global for 7 years, did all their brands, and once I quit, I started an agency, and that agency was specialized in marketing and communication, especially revolving social media and influencers for the biggest brands in the world. That was called 24K. I also have an inspiration school, which makes it even more interesting because now in every industry in the world, I need to find the right target demographic and attract those. So that's kind of an interesting way to do it. But today, we are here to discuss the Avocado Show. Now, if you don't know what the Avocado Show is, it's quite simple. It's a mono restaurant, meaning a restaurant that does one thing, totally focused and based on avocados, that turned into an international franchise. And the reason that that happened is because it was a really good concept and a really good brand, and we knew how to use that in marketing. And all those tips and tricks is what I would love to show you guys today. So here we go. This is the Avocado Show. You probably see it on the screen, which is obviously not behind me, but that's okay. And funnily enough, a restaurant could be anything, but a restaurant that has a couch, a neon, and a plant wall so deep in its ID and its identity and in its brand, this is something you will see later on in almost everything we use. This is the base for all of our communication. And funnily enough, it's not food. Think about that. So this is me, and yes, I ate all of this food. It's kind of important to know. The Avocado Show is a mono restaurant for avocados, which means we just focus on one thing. Like, what can we do with this one product? If you look at the avocado not as an avocado, but as a product or as a concept or as something that people love, I always look at it as Beyonce. To me, the avocado is the Beyonce of fruit. And it has fans, and those fans live across the world, and they want to consume music and food and interior, and they want all of these things combined. It has character. That's the interesting thing. So it's not about avocados. You can switch it for anything that you guys use yourselves, but this is how we're going to explain it. When we started out, it was a very simple idea. We just looked at a few trends that were going on. Now, if you compare pre-COVID to COVID right now, actually the only major change that was made is the online presence and delivery if you look at the restaurant industry. And obviously there's lockdowns and close downs and all of these things, but in Amsterdam, it was so hard. Everyone was screaming anyway. So even after the lockdown stops or when we reopen, that's hardly sort of a comparable market as to when we started. It's just as busy. So you need to find a voice. You need to find a way to attract attention. There were three of us, luckily, because Julian and I, who started this, we can't cook, but Jamie can. And so right from the start, we figured out one person is doing it operationally, Julian. One person is here responsible for food, Jamie. And I was responsible for all brand-related things, marketing and communication. So the funny bit was being this person with a track record automatically puts you in the position where everyone says, well, now you have to market this. So I was like, okay. And I did the best I could, but this is very important. I did the best I could with the mindset that I had back then. Meaning, I wrote the absolute best press release I could think of back in 2016, which contained the word avocado and disruptive and blockchain and Bitcoin and all of it. Didn't make any sense, but it was absolutely everything that was buzzing at that moment. I made amazing photography with the best food photographer I could find, put that all together. We created a really cool brand identity, started designing all of these things, and we put together a press pack, right? A lot of people think when you release something new, you make a press pack and you send that to the entire world, and then they'll pick it up. And that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be the best in making these things. So the press release was as good as it gets. The talent we worked with was as good as it gets. And I was even thinking like, okay, how can I get more attention? How can I get press who I don't have a relationship with to write more? And my idea was make it easier. And I was wrong, but I always thought just make it easier. So I said, okay, here are some quotes already, and here's every picture you'll ever need, and here's 5 different versions and translations of the press release, and here's absolutely everything. And I made this super press pack. But there was one thing off. When I met Julian to think of this concept, it was Thursday night. 5 days later, we took over a building. And 2 of those 5 days, I was at a festival, meaning in 3 days, we were just running through this entire concept, trying to figure it out. And the reason it worked is because we already had agencies working for us, right? So we could pull it off that quickly. The only one thing, the weirdest question in the world was, Julian asked me right before I sent this press release out, he said, did you talk to your mother? I said, no. Weird question also. And he says, are you sure you want to send out a press pack into the world without your mother knowing what you're doing? The only problem was my parents, they were in New Zealand. I'm guessing you're all at home going, yeah, those are my parents. And so I figured, well, you're actually right. If my parents and my mom doesn't know, maybe I should tell them before I send out a press release, right? Because when you communicate, you want to communicate towards the people around you first, the people who deserve it the most, and then they can get used to the idea, and then you go global with it. So instead of using that press pack, we made this picture. Worst picture in the world. The guy that used to be on those set of stairs on that ladder, he took the picture. I'm standing there with an empty page in my... I have no clue what's going on here. But we figured if we took this picture and we put it on Facebook and we tag my mom and my dad and my aunt and my neighbor and like everyone who's supposed to know about what we're doing, and we'll just wait 2 or 3 days and then we'll do the official communication, right? That should work. Now, if you translate that just to normal times and modern names, that means your community gets to know first, and afterwards, you can get to broadcast it to the entire world. Now, this picture went online, and I never ever used the press release again because we scored 212 million organic views on that picture alone. It just traveled the world. Everyone copied it. People started writing about it. They made their own content around it, which was super interesting. So normally, if you look at viral things, a lot of people want to make viral content, right? But let's look at the negative sides of viral content. So why does viral content stop? How long does it last? Usually about 48 to 72 hours, and then it just dies. Now, the reason for that is just like fire, it needs oxygen. If you do not supply any new information, the reader on the other end, they will read one article or two or three, and then just be satisfied. They already know what's in there. There's no news. It's just different words with the same message. And so after their third click, they will not be interested anymore, and the hype dies. In our case, we hadn't sent anything to anyone. And so when we went viral like a celebrity sex tape, the reason why we say that is because what lasts longer than a viral video? It's a scandal. A scandal is the best part of communicating worldwide, if you think about it, like if you just look at the scoreboard. So every little piece of information rekindles the attention to it. And so instead of giving someone the entire story, we just said it in one line. Hey, we're opening the world's first avocado restaurant to hundreds of millions of users and consumers of avocados, right? And so we had their interest. The concept was strong enough in one line, and now we were starting to market. So instead of giving them everything, we actually gave them nothing, creating extreme interest, creating tons of questions, and those questions were original, which meant every single person that asked them had original content for fans to see, which is a very interesting thing. We made headlines all over the world. We went to the New York Times, Japanese game shows, Bangkok, like all over the place. And it was kind of an interesting thing as it took on market by market. We actually saw that the same content we used in certain markets could just evolve and grow and get reused in new markets, which meant you had a timeline that started out, and we were creating that, but at the same time, if 2 weeks later a different market started, it was the exact same timeline, but you just had 2 weeks of buffering, which was kind of an interesting thing to see. When we ended up, we were over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and all of these things going on. Now, remember, we never planned this. This was not the idea, and so we weren't prepared. We didn't have community managers. We didn't know they would ask us questions in 40 languages. We didn't know how to answer all of these things or structure them or put them in a database or whatever. So we had to learn that along the way. But what we did learn was, we call it the power of imperfection. When you are trying to reach a large audience, you cannot reach them through perfection. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but like everyday viral content is pushed into our timelines, and hardly ever is it a perfectly produced Hollywood scripted piece of content. Usually, it's something very relatable. It's something user-generated content like low res or something of which the core, right, the concept of it, the message of it, really works and resonates amongst tons and tons of people. So a simple message like, oh my God, I know someone who loves avocados, so I'm going to tell them that the world's first avocado restaurant is coming. Something as simple as that creates messages that go viral, not the coolest shots and everything that we do. Those simply amplify, but they're not the reason that they work, right? So, good example, we actually got called by Google after we were doing 212 million views. And they called us and they said, wow, there's a department that searches spikes. And I had someone on the phone, he's like, hey, yesterday you had 1.1 million searches in one day. Congratulations. I said, whoa, that's cool. I said, yeah, next time upload and put your website live. What? Like, we totally forgot it was 404 error, whatever. So we lost 1 million reservations. That's a cool way to go. But The important thing about going viral is you'll never be prepared. There's always something, some kind of problem, and that's fine. That doesn't mean you shouldn't launch. You should just launch and fix it along the way. That's what we did also. The weird thing is, it was all about this. We ran out of money really quick, so no new floors, no new nothing. 42 seats in Amsterdam was worth 212 million views. Nah, it's the concept, right? It's something that just strikes your target group that's so important. And then we figured, okay, let's do a little bit more of marketing. How can we overhype? Have you ever seen what's going on in the sneaker industry right now? People are sleeping in front of the door. They're doing all types of crazy stuff. And this is normal. This just became normal, right? That's the way they show there's a hype. And if you look at NFTs or you go all the way back to sneakers, it doesn't matter. Everything in between, if there's a line, people will just believe that it's good and they'll get in it. So what did we do? We made a line. This could or could not be our entire kitchen staff sleeping outside of the door. And that turned into a real line every day since we opened, which is kind of interesting because it rekindled all the information and all the attention that we got, right? So the first splash was, we're doing an avocado restaurant, and everyone wrote about it. And then we showed them our food, and then they wrote about it. And then after a while, you're running out of oxygen, right? So you need to figure out new ones, like creating a line. And this was kind of an interesting thing that we learned from McDonald's. Now, the weird thing about McDonald's is my father. He calls it McDog food. Now, that's not important, but what is important is that when they came out, they had a concept in mind, and they said, this is fast food. McDonald's is fast food, right? The media, some guy woke up one day and said, nope, I'm going to call it junk food. And that was that. From that day on, it just caught fire and it became junk food, which is interesting. So we said, we don't want to be called Instagrammable food. We'll hijack that and give it our own name. So we said it's pretty healthy food because it says what we do. Now, I'm a marketeer and my dad's English, so he wouldn't let me write this because that comma means all food needs to be pretty and healthy. And then I said, Dad, your son's a marketeer. Bye-bye. Now, it's pretty healthy food. And I can sell pancakes and burgers and everything simply because of the simple math that I use. If avocado is the most nutritious fruit in the world, which it is, you can take it and slap it on everything and make it healthier, right? Work with me. Sandwich, avocado, healthier. Hamburger, avocado, healthier. Not healthy, healthier than it was. And that that's where we live. We try to do it better, healthier, prettier, cooler. We don't try to be cool, healthy, and pretty. We just try to be better than the rest. And that can be done easily every day. 1% is enough. Here's an example of our food. So this is a poke bowl, which I think is interesting because half the world knows what this is and the other half doesn't, which means in marketing terms, you need aided awareness. We ran advertising with these things, and only when we told them that it was a poke bowl did they understand that it was a poke bowl. So half of my marketing spend went into explanation of what the dish actually is. Now, figure out if you know what this is, right? So the reason why everybody knows what a hamburger is not because of one person. It's actually because of 60 years of advertising budget being spent by everyone that sells hamburgers. Now, the hamburger is a concept, right? And the concept would be 2 buns of bread with meat in between. Now, this is plant-based, and the bread is avocado. So technically, it's not even a hamburger. Hamburger is a concept which you recognize. So half of my marketing spent was not spent on explaining, it was just spent on reach, meaning this was the best advertisement we ever ran. And this is the worst. Well, this is the coolest dish we have, but it's original, people don't know it, they don't recognize it, they don't do anything with that. So what we call that is piggyback advertising. Find something that resonates already, that everyone understands, and just make it your own. So in this case, everyone knows what a hamburger is, we just made it our own. Kind of an interesting thing. Now, we believe you can speak absolutely anything into existence. And you can also be just a great marketeer and just name things differently than before. One of those things was, why don't we have a cookbook? So we started talking to people like, hey, I cannot feed our customers more. They're already stuffed. And I can't make them drink more. We're a daytime place. So how can we create extra revenue? They said, well, you need to start branding things. So we said, okay, how about a cookbook? And everyone told us, nah, we don't really believe it. We think you're a hype, whatever. So we did one ourselves. Invested a little bit more. Normally, a restaurant would not make its own cookbook. We did, and we sold 25,000 of these things with full margin inside of our own restaurant in the first 3 months, jacking up the average spend per customer, which then meant, as a franchise, we were way more appealing than our competition. The same thing went for other types of merchandise. We found ways to jack up the total price, so the upselling scheme within using a brand in a restaurant really works. We then attacked simply, we looked for the darling in Holland. Everyone loves fried food, so they eat something called bitterballen, which is a snack, a ball just with meat in it, and it's brown. And I'll admit it's yummy, but it's old school. So looking at the future and the trends, we were like, okay, we know plant-based is the trend. We know prettier food, healthier food is the trend. So what if we make a plant-based fried snack that you could also put in the oven or in an air fryer, for instance, and just attack the world's, or at least this country's, darling. The bitterball is the darling, and we said, we're coming for you. So we created Avocado Fries. Again, piggyback branding, right? Everyone knows what fries are. These are actually wedges, but no one cares as long as you call them fries. We made them plant-based, and we put them in the supermarket and just hopped on the entire wave of plant-basedness. Kind of an interesting approach. But then, obviously, COVID came, and one of the greatest challenges of our time. So imagine this. 1/3, at least, of all of our marketing was done by people visiting the restaurant, taking pictures, and sharing that online organically. We didn't pay them for this. We just facilitated, right? But if you close down our restaurant, that means every person that came to eat, they're not spending money, true, but they're also not sharing pictures, which meant our relevantness and our urgency and our reach across the globe was disappearing. So the real question is, how can you have people take pictures of your food when they are not allowed to be in your restaurant? Right? Take a look at this. Hey.
Hi.
Could you snap your fingers in 3, 2, 1?
Whoa.
Cool, huh? You can see it from all angles and even pick your favorite dish. What's yours? Bun burger, poke bowl.
Pancakes.
You like pancakes? Pancakes it is. Now smile. I can't wait to take you there. Let's see who wants to join. So basically what we did was we tried to reenact our restaurant scene by uploading our entire menu into augmented reality and making it possible for people to take pictures and share them online with their friends with an invite to come to our place the second the lockdown was over. And everyone was like, whoa, that must be super expensive and all this kind of stuff. Nope, we just went to the sneaker scene again. You know those web shops where you can see your sneaker in 3D? It's exactly the same technique. We just put our food inside of the box instead of a shoe and used their entire app. So I think this cost about 2,000 euros to make. But the marketing impact was insane. And all of our fans and friends loved it, and it went across the globe. So that was kind of fun. This is, speaking of fun, this is us opening our franchise in Madrid. Now, one of those things, and this is what I think is interesting, if something is old and boring and repetitive, you can actually still attack it. So instead of franchising, we just decided to call it fanchising and really involve everyone online in our decision-making. Where should we open next? We're listening to you. We're reading all of your data, and now we know where to open. Everyone can Google where the highest sales of avocado is, but they can't find out where our people are. We can, and that's why we called it franchising. When Corona or the COVID crisis hit, we were in the middle of a whole bunch of deals, and we actually thought all of them would fail. Now, the crazy part is it didn't. It just doubled. Because of these hard times in real estate, we could actually get better deals. And in the middle of COVID, we could announce 19 new locations, really putting some light in the dark, getting amazing response all around the world from fans, but also from other people in the restaurant business, which was really, really cool. So putting it down, I think seeing what everybody sees and doing what nobody does is sort of the trick when it comes to pulling original marketing. You know what you feel, you know what your target group feels, you see it, but for some unknown reason, they just don't do it. Even if it's a small idea, go out there and make it happen. Now, we try to create a formula that's irresistible to others, even if the first 3 variables are boring. So if it's something you already did, that's cool, but try to add something weird. So having dinner, you do that 21, or at least 7 times a day, right? Eating 21 times a week. Doing that in an all-avocado place or on a boat or in a helicopter or whatever is already more exciting. So finding a weird variable, which could be a location, a person, a dress code, a style, and adding it on top of the formula that you already have could give it a shiny new purpose, which is kind of an interesting thing. Now, my top 5 tips for when it comes down to marketing after COVID or actually coming back is it won't cut it just to put out general messaging. Everyone will do that. So choose your niche or choose your mono. So looking at travel, there are also now mono hotels. Hotels you go to for gaming, hotels you go to just for food, hotels you go to just for sport. Be something special and they'll connect with you on a way deeper level than regular. Now, once you start connecting with them, you'll find that there's a community there. These people will talk to each other, they'll talk to you, you can give them all types of value and content, which they will love, and that will just grow, enabling the relationship between you two, so more and more of your content will actually hit the target group. Number 3 is important, learn to speak their language, not the other way around. Usually we talk in a way that we find is cool, but actually we need to find out a way to make everyone understand. Less than 10% of the world is creative. So learn how to speak their language and still sell a creative idea to them. I think that's very important. You see that in captions and in all types of user-generated content coming through. Now, if there's one thing we can learn from the restaurant business or even something like NFTs or crypto, it's pre-game hype. Can we create attention, a story in a pre-game, right? Write yourself up now, be part of something, be part of the first drop, be part of anything that happens. It works with sneakers. So if you get and really assemble this community and these interested people before the actual sale, you'll find out you can do that more than once. That's one of the community tools that you do, because one of the things you need to understand is that once we come out of the gates and everything opens again, you need to create urgency. Not buy this product sometime somewhere, buy it right now, here, today, don't miss out, be there. And that's, I think, the most important marketing tool. Make sure people feel the urgency, the FOMO. They don't want to miss out. They want to be part of absolutely everything. So if you put these 5 tips into any marketing that you do, I'm pretty sure you'll get there. Thanks.
Thanks, Ron. This was amazing in such a pace and such a density of all good stories. I was really laughing very loud. I don't know if people heard it. Did you really create the line with your own staff?
I could tell you, but I would have to. The money's buried in the. You know, it's like. Yeah.
All right, I won't go.
You know me by now.
No. I know.
You take a healthy.
But well, the thing is, why I wanted to ask that, because you're all in a brainstorm, and marketeers in a brainstorm, CEOs, leaders, everybody's in the brainstorm, and sometimes the most crazy idea pops up. And the thing is, we don't dare to do that because that sounds a little bit weird. And the funny thing with you is you do that. So
Absolutely.
the most weirdest thing, yeah, let's try that one. So what is that? Is that
cut through the noise, right? And
Right.
it's also something like people tend to forget that 90% of internet's bullshit. So you can joke around, you can make a meme, you can do all these type of things. It's not real world. You're not sitting with your boss in a room. Mm-hmm. You're sitting with a bunch of people that just want to be entertained. So even a ghost story or a meme or something works. It doesn't even have to be reality, right? That's why we call the avocado the Beyonce of fruit. We got to use something that the whole world knows, and that's why they want to see it. A whole bunch of people never heard of us. They just know about avocado in general.
Right.
Now, if you can find something like that, like everyone knows about a beach, everyone knows about sun, everyone knows about rooftops, everyone knows about airplanes, you have your own super known assets that you could trigger. You just need to write stories around them.
Right. So the question here is because you wrote down some tips, and I like tip number 1, choose your niche or your mono.
Yes.
So what will that tell you for the future of big tour operators?
Yeah, so there's one thing I would love to add to that. That does not mean company positioning. That means marketing positioning.
Okay,
right?
Tell me the difference.
The difference is we are an avocado restaurant serving only avocado. That's the position of our entire company, right? But you could also say, I'm choosing to communicate only to travelers about our boat tour this summer.
Right.
That's a niche marketing campaign where we don't try to tell you when we were founded and how cool we are and that we did these 50 things and that we're also in all these other cities. No, we take away the noise and we just say, this niche message is going in a mono campaign to that target group.
Right.
And where it goes wrong, I have an agency as well, where it goes wrong is when we stuff marketing, right? They're like, shit, we need to tell them that we're open and we're healthy and we're safe and the food is good and it's over. It's already over before you started. So pick a niche and a mono within your messaging.
Right.
And then run a campaign on that. You could run 16 campaigns in one summer, it doesn't matter. Just don't do them in one image.
One pitch.
Exactly, yeah.
So because we've been talking about the rebuilding or redesigning the travel industry, and that's got to do with sustainability. It's got to do with spreading, so not going to the top location, but maybe some other interesting things.
Yeah.
And it's about making the connection with the local people. So just, I know you're a very creative mind, so immediately things start flowing. What would you do on those? Pick one. And what kind of...
To be very honest, I think a lot of them just tick the box, so I would never pick those.
Oh, really?
For me, sustainability and all these other things are super important. But unless you are willing to pull a massive campaign,
Right.
really tackling a problem,
Uh-huh.
then just make sure you tick the box. If you have the right, certifications and implementations and whatever, tick the box. Don't even talk about it. Make sure that when someone is searching, they will find it.
Right.
But only share messages that people really want to hear and that are impactful. Right? So when you do a campaign, don't scratch the surface. It's not, oh, we also fly to Spain. Well, that's great. So do 20,000 other people, right? Go niche. Tell them, what can you do in Spain? Why you, as a company, if you have an expertise of flying people out, you should have been talking to 200,000 people that already bought a ticket from you. What's the best place to go? Why am I still Googling tips instead of getting them from my supplier?
Yeah, from
the dealer,
a supplier, right.
So I think that's the interesting part where I would start looking for stories that seem small and really blow them up and just make sure you want to see it. If you look at an influencer traveling, right? They'll make the money shot. They'll go stand on the infinity pool or they do something, whatever.
Right.
And then that's enough. People don't even care what country it is, whatever. They'll just book that hotel at that place and then they'll just go there because they want that mini experience. That's their mono experience that they want, right? And I think travel could definitely play more on that. Like,
Wow.
play on food, play on sports, play on culture, play on content and photography. People love that stuff. And just tell them where to go, how, and what.
Yeah.
You don't need to promote an entire country to sell a plane ticket. You could promote a square.
There is a tsunami of compliments your way.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Albertine loved
you,
it,
guys.
Laura loved it, Judith loved it, Honey loved it, all women. Esther loved it. Marianne has a question. She says, well, with a niche product as an avocado, you're very dependent of availability.
I would sort of counter that. Like, is an
Right.
avocado by now still a niche product, right? Is there a supermarket in Europe that doesn't carry avocados? So I don't think it's as niche as it used to be anymore. It is, however, a very delicate product. So we need to get it eat ripe every day, super fresh kind of thing. But that if that is your only mission, right? We are a mono restaurant. That is the only mission we have. Get good avocados.
Right.
And so I think every company has a whole bunch of problems to solve. But if you could pick one and just do one, then I'll solve one. That's okay.
Right. Ron, it was very inspiring. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
it was
Ron.
great seeing you again. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Have a
And
great guy, guys.
hopefully everything will open up again and we'll be lining up, huh?
Yeah, and otherwise just come get some takeout.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right, that was Ron Simpson, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to do, what's the time? Time is passing very, very quickly. We have 11 minutes until our final speaker of today. This is one of the keynote speakers a lot of people have been waiting for. He's the CEO and founder of Skift, the largest industry intelligence and marketing platform in travel. He's going to highlight every mega trend there is out there affecting the travel industry in 2022 and after that. So stay online. We'll see you in 11 minutes with Rafat Ali.